Alright. Hello there, everybody. Today we're going to be working on learning how to use the useState hook in React.js. Here today, if you check the announcements, I've made a little Git repo for you guys to follow along. If you go to meetings, you'll see this. You can just clone this, and you'll have exactly the same code that I have right here. And as such, you'll be able to follow along at home and try to learn at the same time with me. Alright? Just tell me when you guys get that ready, alright? Yes, you should get from the repo. Terrence, is your gain up on the mic or really down?
I'm sorry?
The gain on your mic.
Oh,
There you
said
go.
better now?
Yes, it is.
Now I just remembered what I just said about bitrate, and that doesn't make sense.
Yes, no, it does not.
So, sorry about that.
I'm currently installing everything.
Alright, tell me when everything's done. This shouldn't be too hard. You should understand. I'll walk through the basic. Hello there, Sammy. I'll be able to walk through the basic code to explain. That, oh, that's not that useful, but that's nice. That's there. I'll just be explaining what's happening, what you would expect to happen, and what's actually happening. Hello there. Hello there, Evan. Okay. For you two who just joined right now, I prepared a Git repo in the meetings channel. You can Git clone that to get exactly the same code that I have set up here, so you can learn useState with us at the same time. It's a very useful thing that you guys will need to learn how to use. Big stuff. Alright. You guys ready? You guys good? Alright. You good, Maxim?
Yep.
Alright. So here in the app component, the function app, I've prepared a small little thing. It's just a counter. You would expect this to happen as the minus button to decrease the number, the increase button to increase the number, obviously. And you have two.
My plus and minus button works.
Yes. These just increase by 1. Plus plus, you do that before, because if you do plus plus after, it just returns number normally. It's a whole ordeal that I don't really want to get into right now. Just know that this just adds 1. This just subtracts 1 to the number before returning it. Terrence, you should know this. You do C. It's another thing that happens in C. Alright, well, goodbye there, Maxim. Anyways, in this code, what you have is, we have this function that increase, and what it does is belongs to the number we have right here, and increases it by 1. So once you increase the number by 1, you would expect the number to get bigger, right? You'd expect the number to become a bigger number. Right? Actually, wait, you wouldn't want it. Yeah, you'd expect number to get bigger, and expect a number here in decrease. You expect number to get smaller. That's not the case here, right? We got the minus minus and the plus pluses, but things happen, right? So you might be asking yourself, well, why isn't anything happening? And I have the on-click methods here. They're doing the functions every time I'm clicking. Why isn't anything happening? Well, you see something is happening right here in the console. If you check it out, number is changing, right? So you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then since the console logs 1 late, it just you can just stagger it off by 1. But it is the number is changing in memory, but not on the HTML itself. That's why we have the useState hook. That's why we have useState. Right? Now, useState is just a syntactic sugar. It's just something that tells React, okay, here's a variable that will change over the course of the application's lifetime. In which case, you need to re-render the HTML page several times to make this to work. So, to use useState, what you do, you start off with const, and it will be an array of 2 things. The variable, in this case it would be number, and this is a variable which has an actual value in it that is changeable later on, even though it has a const. Don't get too lost in this part, just know that it's const by default to prevent you from messing this stuff up later on. After that, after number, we have a setter, something that changes the function that changes number's value. In this case, we'll call it something obvious, set number, or change number. Is equal to use effect. That's use effect, not use state. Whoops. That's the wrong hook. There we go. I don't know. VS Code is a very weird tool. I don't like it too much. So let's start this off with the normal 5. I just typed in a use effect, use state, sorry. And normally, yep, here's one more thing that I forgot to do. Import. Use state from React. Now, normally, should be able to use this. And in this case, we can look this number. Change number. So what useState does, it takes in a value, and what it does, it spits out an array of two different values. One is a value with the one is a variable with the value inside it, and another is a function, right? The function can take variables. You've seen how arrow functions work. This is a variable that takes in a function, right? So change number is a function in essence. So what you can do here, instead of returning number plus plus, what you would do is change number to number plus plus, right? That's increasing. Now look, if you increase here, assignment to yes. There we go. That's what, there it is. And change number -1. Alright. Now if you look at the app right now, after we've done with those things, you can look at that. Our counter actually does something now. It goes to negatives. Actually has numbers that are usable. It actually changes the stuff. You might be asking to yourself, well, why is this so complicated? Why do I have to have like a whole different function to use the states? That's a very good question.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is React was very poorly designed in the beginning, and we have to work around a lot of stuff. And I wouldn't have it this way, personally. I would have just used it like in different frameworks where they do different stuff, but it's just normal variables. But this is a very good compromise for usability. It's just one function that changes the state and one specific state variable that holds the state.
How are you able to create something that is named by an array, or like?
Ah, yes, okay.
Is
So
that
this is
or
called object destructuring. So what this does in essence, it just makes what it makes is two different variables called number and change number. And what useState does, it spits out two different values, the value for the variable and the value for the function that changes the variable. It's just a way to catch both of them in the same statement. And I think it's the only way that React supports. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that part later on.
what exactly is the difference between number and change number? Like,
Yeah, okay. So you can think of this as like I don't know. It's like if you have a book, it's like the difference between choosing a book and picking up a book, right? You choose a book, you have it. That doesn't change. You pick up the book, oh, it's not on the table anymore, it's in your hand. But if you pick it up and lay it on the ground, it's on the table again. Right? I don't know if that analogy was the best in the world. But you get the point. What number is? It's a variable. It's something that holds a value. What change number is? It's a function that changes number. That's the only thing it does. It changes number. Right?
so when you put something into the change number, when you use the change number function, what exactly does it do? Does it just execute number? Well, set number to number plus one.
Yep, that's exactly it. It just changes the value of number from number to number plus one. If I wanted to, I could change this to
One. If you were to put one, it would just set it to one.
exactly, yeah. If you look at this, bam. Okay, so I set this down. Minus, you got 14, negative 12. But bam, I click here. It changes it to 1. No matter what I do, it just keeps setting it to 1, right? And then you keep going to 0. Bam, you get back to 1 again. That's all it does. It just changes the state. Very interesting.
Not wanted to be below 0.
Why does not want to what?
Oh, wait, never mind.
Alright, that's fine. Yeah, so that's how useState works in essence. What you have is a function created by the useState function that you import from React up here, right? After that, once that's done, you can create a two different variables, one that holds a value and one that changes that value because it's a function. And using that function, inside the whole app component, inside this whole app, you can change the number, this one, right here, all throughout, and the HTML will change as a result. Bam, 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 bam. Go up, can go down. Wanted to, I can make this plus 2 divided by 2. Let's do it. There you go. So, bam, bam, bam. As you can see, I can keep dividing. I can keep multiplying as much as I wanted to.
Okay.
Yep, that's all. All that useState does is creates two things: one that holds a value, one that changes a value, and that value will be re-rendered in the HTML as long as it needs to be. Any questions so far?
I just have some questions about the const increase and decrease. So by typing change number in parentheses number plus 1, you can read this as change number to number plus 1.
Yes.
How do you read this?
Yes, exactly. You can read this as change the number to itself plus 1. It's like saying if you were to do this in normal JavaScript, it would be number is equal to number plus 1. So the number you had before, you add 1, and that's what number it is now. You can think of it like that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just maybe one more. Why do you make
Mhm.
two variables? If you can just use one to do the same thing, right?
What do you mean with the two variables?
Like, for example, you could just number and change the number.
Yes.
By doing that, you make two variables, right?
One is a variable that holds a value, Romeo. Number holds a value. Change number changes the value because you don't want random stuff to do math on number and change it without you knowing. You want to be able to change it explicitly.
Is that something regular in React?
Yeah, useState when you want to make reactive applications that have, if you know you have make like a social media platform and you need to get stuff from the database, you'd use useState to just get the value from there and render it conditionally. Because
Is it like, does it work with just like outside React?
outside of
Or
React,
is it specific to React?
the useState is specific to React. Other frameworks, I won't get into too much detail because React pays the most. So that's what kind of why I'm teaching you guys this one. Other frameworks, they do it normally. Because Svelte, one of my favorite, because it's just so easy and so much fun to work with. The way you work with Svelte is just it's normal JavaScript. Right? If you work with the dynamic attributes, that's not the one. Reactivity assignments. So here, let count plus 1, and then in the function handle click, count plus equals 1. And you can see, yeah, and then you have to do the on-click stuff. There you go. So, and you click here. It's very simple because it's very intuitive. You have a function that changes the value. It's not like in React where you have to make other stuff. Here it's just very simple, very elegant. I like Svelte a lot, but unfortunately it's not that popular yet. Maybe in the future. I hope so anyways. But I digress. React pays the most. That's why I'm teaching you guys this one. Alright. Alright. So we have any more questions on how to use useState and stuff like that?
Just one last. It's about you've taught us that if you make a variable, there's three types of variable: var, const, and let, right?
Yes.
And const is when you have a constant variable, right? When
Yes.
you want your variable to be the same all the time.
Yes.
Let is when you want to modify it. Then why do you declare a number as a constant?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question, Romeo. Now imagine this. Imagine if the increase function, we had some other math in here that was trying to calculate, I don't know, the number of likes and stuff like that, and what's the like to dislike proportion, stuff like that. Well, sometimes the programmer might make a big mistake or something like that, and he might write, I don't know, number plus equals, I don't know, 1 in this case, right? You see, now this throws an error because you would not want to accidentally do math on a variable that can only be changed by using the change number method. This is just this is the reason we use const is to catch any errors the programmer might make in doing so like this. Forces him to actually do it correctly and to make sure that state's handled correctly using change number. And state in this case just means what the variables are like in memory. Hello there, I don't know who joined. Anyways, any more questions? Amin, Evan, Sammy, Sasha, Terrence, any questions? No? Nope. Alright. Okay, so you guys understand the basics of useState. That's great. That's great. I thought this was going to take a little bit longer, but no, this is perfect. This is great. So I guess I can teach you guys React Router now. Yep.
One more thing.
Yeah, sure.
How do you can you apply CSS to like the number?
Yeah. Number.
How do you apply CSS to that?
Oh, well, that's easy. So imagine you had like I don't know, a div wrapping it. Uh, After that, you just give the class, you just give the div a class name, and then after that, you just give like I don't know, number, right? Not very not the most original name, but what you do after that, dot number.
Why does the HTML use like instead of class it uses class name?
Because in JavaScript, class is a reserved keyword for object-oriented programming, which I'm not gonna get into the class is already a keyword used, so you have to use class name to get around that. But no, maybe one day we'll get to good web language. Maybe Wasm will replace it. I don't know. We'll see one day. But no, when you do the class name with number, after that you can just style number how you want. So if this case, if I wanted, I don't know, color red, right? If I wanted it to be red, look at that, it's red now because I'll put it into a div, right? And if I just refresh the page, starts back to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if I want to change the font, I'd just say font dash family. I don't know. Good. There we go. Font has been changed. That. Alright.
Yeah.
So that's how you'd style the number. Just wrap it in a div. Really. Alright, so React Router. Right? So what you want. So what is React Router on it, really? Well, you know how in some websites you have, we'll use our website that we made for the club as an example. You know how in some websites you have different pages like members, contact right up here, join us, and these are all different pages, right? Hello?
Yeah.
I cannot hear you, Sasha.
No, wait, Maxine?
Yes?
Can you hear Sammy? I think he was trying to ask.
No, I could not hear Sammy for the life of me.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, sorry. I just wanted to say, I'm not sure, but didn't Terrence already cover the router thing?
Not
Well,
root.
yes, but this is, it's kind of a vague, yeah.
It's a refresher lesson because many people weren't here for Tuesday, right? Just
Oh, okay.
don't worry about it. So this is just to get a nice little more in-depth, more practical guide. That's why I made the well, that's why I made the Git repo for you guys to try this out on. You can just practice at home when you need to, when you can. Right? Alright, so what is React Router anyways? Yeah, go ahead. Alright. So React Router, you see how with some pages you have to join us right after the HTML, right after the link, you got members, and you got nothing sometimes, right? Those are called different routes to a web page, and they give you different pages based on that, right? Now, some websites, they're all single page applications. If you look into this one, you don't need you can't go to /about, right? That goes to the same place. But what if we didn't want that to happen, right? For that, what we just do, probably should make the file earlier, but about.jsx. Yeah. Alright, so after that, about was this is about us. Yeah.
So you just make another.
Yeah.
Or where would
Hell no! Fuck Maxime. No!
Anyways, you got the about us that
Sorry, Maxime, I've cut off your question.
No, you're fine. So what React Router does, it just renders different what do you say? It renders different stuff based on the route you're on, right? So normally what you do in index.js what you do, you'd be imports, and then you got browser, router. And from React dash router dom. There we go. That's right. Yeah, that's right. All right. And then after that, what you do, after that, you would have to browser router.
Wait.
Yep.
Oh, do we need to get the module React to them?
Yeah, you have the module by default. That's fine. So yeah, no, what you do, my sensitivity changed to it.
In our
Mhm.
main, wait,
Not main. This
wouldn't
isn't.
be in our,
This wouldn't be in app.js. This would be in index.js, because router is something you want to happen on the whole website, right? On every single page of the website. So you do this, huh? Yeah. You do this right here in the.
so is act like a individual page, like it would be.
Yes,
like
app.js is basically its own module, and then you have other modules you can make. Yeah, exactly. You got it.
And index.js would apply to everything.
Yes, index.js would apply. It's the base HTML. It's the base code. So after that, let me rename this to something.
So, Maxime,
Mhm.
that would mean that if you have a navbar or a footer, you would put it in index, right?
Yes, yeah, I think so. I wouldn't. I don't really do that too often. Yeah, no, you do that. I think. Yeah, yeah, you do that. I'm not sure if that's the best practice. What you do is, since index.js, since this is just a React JS or JSX, you can just put app, put the footer, put the header, put that's all in there. And I'm sure it'd be fine. I don't use React.js too much because, well, Next.js is just a lot better for what me and Terrence are doing. But I'm pretty sure you do that here, yeah. Alright, so after that, with app.js, I've renamed this to cancel.js so I can use app.js for something else. JS, there we go.
Name that like the.
Just increase that. And after that, Next.js, we'll import app from counter. Perfect. Actually, I even need app in here. App. Alright, and after that, I just make another app.js file. See.
I tried to rename the app,
Mhm.
the app.js file, and
Mhm.
I got a thing saying update imports for the counter.js.
Oh yeah. That just you don't need to worry about that one too much because that just the VS Code telling you, okay, you renamed the file, but there are other files that are calling this file from with this file name. Just change that later on. You should be fine if you just click no because I'm gonna be changing that later on. All right.
Okay, it just said automatically update imports.
That's fine. All right. So here in this real app.js, what you'd have is import link, as in if you want to link to a different page, you can click it and get there. Route, this is the stuff that handles all the routing, and then switch. This is the thing that handles all the switching from different pages. And then obviously from React dash router dash dom. Yep. Oh, okay, so they updated the name. Oops. I'll just React DOM then. Use fixed source, that's one index.
I can't. It's not letting me import. Oh, yeah. React them works for me.
The tutorial I'm using is a little bit outdated. Bear with me just a moment, please. Alright. Right, getting started. Yes, please. Just this. Next. This is the React router. No React router DOM. Whoops. Yeah. And now, no, seriously, still nothing. Do I need to install it? No, it should be installed. Weird.
What's the module's name?
That's the thing I'm looking at because normal this thing's been 2020. Give me. Oh, I was looking at the V5 to V6. Whoops. It should wait. It should be React Router dash DOM. That's weird.
Wait, but don't you have to install it first?
Maybe.
Oh wait, do I have to install it? Ah.
Yeah, I think we have to.
Oh, whoops.
It's in
Oh.
documentation until this week.
React.
Getting already up to date. Which is odd.
There we go. React dash router dot DOM. Fix. If there's no. Just fix the security problems. There we go. And there we go. Now we should be able to do that. There we go.
Wait, what did you do?
I just installed it. Now I'm hoping this works. Ah, yes, I didn't start the server. Go. And please work. This is the joys of live coding. There we go, it works now. If I were to write something in the div, let's see, test. There you go. Now it works.
I'm getting an
Mhm.
when it says can't resolve. I tried to yarn.
Oh yeah, yarn start. Do you have yarn installed?
Yes.
Weird then.
No, I'm trying to yarn install.
Oh yeah,
I already have it developed.
yeah. So you just write yarn install react dash router dash DOM. That's it. After that, that's pretty simple. What you can do after that. What you can do. You can create. I don't know. In this case, let's do a nav bar. Nav. There we go. Nav UL. If every good programmer knows what to do with nav bars.
Cool.
LI. Let's call this.
You make a new app.js file.
Yeah, I made a new app.js file. I just renamed the other one to counter. And then let's make the link, because normally what you have in normal HTML would be an A tag. In this case, it's just a link. Link, and we link this to counter. Oh, there we go. Link. And this one we link it to about. And you might be asking yourself, but where does the link go? Right, it's not pointing anywhere. And that's a very good question because I forgot to write that. And you go to, very obviously, here you go to /counter. Here you go to /about. And then after that, once that's done, and that part's done, you just go to
What have you?
Hmm? There you go. And then just routes, and then you give this a path. Path in this case would be /counter. And then you give this the counter element. I know this seems very complicated, and you are very right, it is. That's another reason why React Next.js is a very good framework for this kind of stuff. It just gets rid of a lot of the boilerplate code you would have to write like this. In this case, about. There you go. And a counter cannot result. Really? Oh, whoops. I call it counter. Oops.
The extension.
That's fine. Could not find module.counter. And I call this app. Give me a second. There we go. And one more time, let's fix up all these little stuffs. Aim.
Okay. So what did you do for rest and in your new app.js?
Yeah.
The import.
Apple. Yeah, it's. I save this. I never saved this file. Oops. Silly me. Goodbye. That was no file use contra.js. Where's this coming from? Where's the origin for this? Source main next after that fine after fine. That's weird. Ah, that's very weird. Oh, that's not working. This should work perfectly fine though. The default, yeah, that's exporting defaults. Capture that shit. What's that you mean? Yeah, probably untracked. Let's see. Function counter is counter.js, yeah. I think it was point counter. .js. About us .js. Yeah, actually. There we go, finally. That took way longer than it should have. Alright, so in here, you click about, you get to the, there is an imposter about us, right? Click here to counter.
Yeah.
You got the counter app that we did earlier. Right? Just very simple. Yeah?
Can you show the code?
Yeah, sure, don't worry. So what this does, I just made a nav bar here with a list, unordered of course, with 2 items that both, and inside of each of these items I made a link that points to an area, right, to. This goes to somewhere. And here we have a route that has a different path, and if the path is equal to this one, render counter. If it's equal to this one, render about, right? You can think of it as an if-else statement, honestly, right? So if I had a, I don't know, test, something, nothing would happen because it doesn't match anything, right? So you just have the default, nothing here. If not, if I wish to do counter right here, React.js looks at counter and says, oh, okay, I see counter in the route. I'll render this thing. I will render the counter function, the counter components, actually, which does all this, right? Beautiful. After that, we have the about us. There's an imposter about us. Hello there, Saturn. The code?
Code for the paid for.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Is there any real things about React Router that you guys don't quite understand? Or
How does the route path counter? How does those tags work? Like, how do you?
route? Or well, what route does? It's basically just a wrapper for an if statement, right? And you can think of it like Go ahead.
Is it you have it away from where the actual links are? Why is that?
Because we don't want to mess around with the nav bar in this case, and what's rendered on the page. Because
So
imagine,
it's not rendered on the page.
yeah. So by default, if these paths aren't matched, you don't see these stuff in the HTML. Then it would be like having no element here that you could see. That would be the default, and then when you realize, oh, this matches, There you go. I have to refresh that. When this refreshes, this checks the path, checks the counter, and sees, okay. There's a counter in the path. Since there's a counter in the path, I will render this out. If I wanted to, I could do after counter, I do test 1, 2, 3, and you should see that right here, test 1, 2, 3. Right? But if I were to go to about, you would not see the test 1, 2, 3. You just see the very smart and intellectual message I put.
Yeah.
So any questions so far? I know this isn't the most simple thing, React Router. I very much hate the tool. But yeah, it's something you have to learn to live with and work around. And don't worry, if all else fails, you always have Google to help you out with this kind of stuff. Just know what to look for. Right? I should make that a course window, just teach you guys how to look up stuff. Alright, so do you guys have any more questions for how to use React Router? Romeo, you got anything? Terrence? Sammy?
No, I'm good.
You good? Good for you guys? Alright. I will make this a new branch and push these changes later on tonight so you guys can see the corrected versions and the people at home can check this out on the GitHub, which is right here. Right, that's the wrong GitHub. Turn that on.
Is this the same thing as the last class?
This is basically the same thing as the last class, but I was just hoping a few more people would show up today. I mean, I guess more people did, so that's fine. It's just a good, because with this kind of stuff, use states and React Router DOM, it's really tedious, and you really need to just bang through it to get your head wrapped around it, right? You need to ask as many questions as you can, get anything you think could help you will help you in the long run, so just ask away. Just anything to help you understand why it's doing this way, why it needs to work this way, why it's happening this way. Okay? Because nobody cares about the how it's doing it, everybody wondering why they're doing it. Right? Sorry, Maxim, I just interrupted you.
Sorry, one thing I
Yep.
was curious about is why do you have a counter tag, like a tag called counter within the
path?
tag? What does that do?
That's a component, right? We import this from counter.
So you actually import.
Yeah, you import the count.
Why would you import a component?
Why would I import component for modularity? Because imagine we had. I'll structure this around the other.
Sorry.
Don't worry. I'll structure this there we go.
Sorry. Does the root? Is the root tag like making it associate the counter path with the counter?
Yes, you got it. That's exactly it. It's associating those two things. So you only render the counter component when the route says counter, right? So let's say we had something like the Next.js site. We have the 404, we have the context, index, join us, stuff like that. Not really that important, but it looks good. And I still need to get pull later on because this looks a bit outdated. Yep. Anyway, what else is saying? Yes. Imagine we had like this big structure here. We have the contact.jsx and we have the context.jsx 404 index, join us, and we have the members index.jsx, stuff like that. These are all different routes to Next.js, but this isn't a Next.js course. This is a React course. So you can imagine folder. Right.
To make the app.js thing has the nav bars.
Yes.
Right. Well, it has nav. But how do you make it show in the other pages?
Oh, yeah, because React is a single page application generator. What this means is when it renders into HTML, you have a lot of JavaScript on one side and just one HTML page rendered, which is different to how Next.js does it, but basically it's syntactically the same. So app.js is basically like the home file. It's like if you had the C drive for your computer and you have all the different folders and stuff like that coming out of it later on. This is the one thing that everything else bases upon. This is the one HTML page that you have. And then it changes with JavaScript and stuff like that. But, yeah. You got it? Alright, I didn't explain it too well.
Well, at the moment, it doesn't want to show the nav bar for me on the code. I'm not sure why.
Alright. Wait, you don't see the nav bar code?
No, I don't see the nav bar on my page.
Oh, well, in that case, could you stream your screen?
Sure.
Yeah, you got that. Nav,
Am I supposed to have anything?
No. Expression expected. Can you see what that says? Ah, yes, because you don't have any. There's an error with. Just return a text saying hi or something like that. There we go. And now check your Firefox. Yep. That's weird. Okay, can you check your index.js then?
My what?
Index.js. Yep, that's the one. JS. What's the default? Yeah, index. Okay, you got the browser router in here. App.js. And index looks fine. App.js looks fine. That's a good question. Why isn't React router downloading? Switch doesn't matter too much in this case because we're not actually using it. But it's fine. What's happening with no, this looks like it should work. This looks like it should work. That's a good question. Why isn't it? Page. That's just a git diff. You don't care too much about that thing. Huh. I'll have to work with you on that one later on. I'm not quite sure why it's looking like that. But other than that, do you guys have any more questions? Any more questions about React Router or anything you'd like to ask? As you can see, it's not the best tool out there. That's what we got. Any questions?
I think it's good.
Think it's good? Alright.
Yep.
It is 6:50. We got... Actually, no, I think today's a good day to leave you guys early. So since you have no more questions, I'm going to push these changes onto GitHub later on today. And I'll push this recording onto the Google Drive later on today as well. So if anybody would like to review the lesson, they can just look onto either the GitHub or the Drive and just read through and look through the code. Alright, have a good day, guys, and enjoy your weekend.
Bye, thank you.
Take care. Oui, oui.
Ah,
Hello?
ok, pardon. Non, c'était pas une question, enfin, si, c'était une suggestion plutôt, mais